All right, everyone. Good morning. Let's come to standing, and I want to invite you to begin your own personal ritual of what it means to come into your body. So, I like to maybe roll my ankles or shift my weight side to side. Just like in a meditation practice, I like to connect with my breath, the sensations of breath, the feeling of my rib cage moving. And I love the imagery of pulling breath in through my nose, over my brain, and weaving it down the spine, right? So in yoga and yoga inspired classes, we're breathing through the nose. And there's actually a lot of science out there that explains why breathing through the nose is different than breathing through the mouth and how it affects your brain and your energy levels throughout the day. Right? So, this ritual, whatever it is for you, of bringing your awareness in, beginning to attune to sensations in your body, opening up a level of compassion towards your body, and giving your full attention to meeting your body where it's at today in this moment to moment to moment. Go ahead and bring your feet together, bend your knees, and let's begin to circle the knees in one direction. Use this first exercise to deepen your breath. Use the exercise to connect with your feet, perhaps with some appreciation, some gratitude, maybe even some admiration. Really go for it here on the given the moment to your feet. And then change direction of your circles. Feeling into your ankles, your knees. And we're lubricating the joints. We're getting the synovial fluid moving in there, waking up our awareness in the joints. Settle that movement down. Take your feet wider apart. And now we'll circle the knees individually. So circling inward. And of course, the knees are not separate from the ankles and the feet. So you're still getting all this good foot rolling movement and individuation of the bones. Bringing your awareness deep into the knee joint and strengthening your skill, strengthening your ability to feel in at the bone level. And feel for the heat that is created in all the connective tissue around the knee. Okay, and then circle in the other direction. Meeting what you are sensing and feeling in your knees with your breath. Okay, finish that up. Excuse me. Come up to standing and begin to rotate in the hips and belly and low back area. So, and even meeting the tweakiness, meeting the discomfort. If you're someone who struggles with daily discomfort in the body or pain, giving your attention to that sensation, meeting it, and staying curious. And this would be a stretch, but maybe even thanking it for what it's trying to communicate with you, right? And then shifting in the other direction. Feeling into hips and low back, feeling for the churning sensation in the belly. And then go ahead, settle that movement down, and let's move into upper chest and arms and shoulder blades. Start to circle the arms back, and feeling into the way that the shoulder blades glide together and down the back. Continue with the deep breathing. And when I do this, I like to keep my feet active and have a little bend in the knees and not make the upper body movement separate from my low body. So keep, as best as you can, keep it whole body. Keep sensing into the whole body all at once. And feel for, here with these simple movements, creating something pleasing for yourself. Right? Because if we don't create something pleasing for our own self, how could we expect somebody else to, or for the world to be a pleasing place? All right, and then switching directions, and now you can get into side body. And shoulder blades are spreading apart, and maybe just because the movement is one arm at a time instead of two, right? Like make it your own and use it to get into those places where your body is communicating with you with some tightness or discomfort or pain or lack of connection. And go ahead, come on up. Lower your left ear towards your left shoulder. Reach through your right hand, stretch your fingers out. Again, stay connected to the feet and the knees and the low body. Breathe in a way that spreads your ribs. On exhale, draw your shoulders away from your ears. And the next few rounds of breath, bringing them in through your nose, over the right side of your brain, into the ear, down through your arm, waking up your ability to sense and feel and experience these parts of your body. And go ahead and relax your arm, lower your chin to the center of your chest, leave your head to hang. Take a deep breath in through the nose, over the brain, and into the back of your neck and upper back. And then go ahead and rotate your right ear towards right shoulder. Reach out through the left hand, stretch your fingers out wide, stay connected to feet. And then send your breath in through the nose, across the whole left side of the brain, that analytical side of the brain, into the left side of the neck, and noticing how that connects into chest, through the shoulder, and down through the arm. Thank you, body. And go ahead and relax your arm, Lower your chin to the center of your chest. Allow your head to hang. Put a little bend in your knees and begin the soft bounce exercise. So if you've never done this one before, it's like there's springs in the knees and springs in the ankles and little springs in the hips. And we're just using the low body to create a trampoline effect. The trampoline effect can be felt in the thoracic diaphragm, which is up near where your cervical vertebrae and your thoracic vertebrae meet one another. In kind of modern pop culture terms, the area that might be called a widow's hump, but anymore it's just a like technology person's hump, right? We lean our head forward to drive and to computer and to look at our phones. So that area, relax into it, allow your head to bounce, allow yourself to feel into that area, plus what's above and below it. And then finishing that exercise, straightening the legs a bit, place a hand on your forehead to lift your head up. And reach one arm up and one arm down. We'll go into this windmill arm exercise here. Do have your feet active, do have a little bend in your knees. And the idea is that you're going to keep your arms in the same plane. So when we circle backwards, and when I keep my arms in the same plane, there's a weight shift, there's a torso rotation. Like my torso is shifting all the way to the left and even behind me, all the way to the right and behind me. This is like the warm up for that scene in the Matrix where Neo bends all the way backwards to avoid the bullets. So just think, girls, you are warming up for that. Girls or guys or non-binary folks. I slipped with a pronoun there. So we're circling backwards and we're still breathing. And then as you warm up, maybe it speeds up a little bit, still keeping the arms in the same plane. And I notice with this, it starts to feel bouncier. There's just a weight shift from side to side. If your neck gets stiff, how can you change that? How can you soften the head, soften the neck? And slow that down. Go ahead, give your arms a break for a moment, shake them out. I'm going to take the break opportunity to take off the sweatshirt because the body temperature is rising. Notice that too, all right? That's something to embody and feel. And then arms up again. And here we go, rotating forward. So start slow, but again, oh my gosh, my rib cage goes like way, it's like looking behind me. You could look past behind me. And there's a weight shift and a knee bends and the other one straightens. Right, so keep your arms connected, keep them moving together, and allow your brain to learn that. And then you could pick up speed and keep moving them together, keep weight shifting. And perhaps there's some imagery or using your imagination, something that allows you to connect to a pleasing activity. Running through the woods, skiing downhill. and settle that down. Okay, isolated rib cage movement. So what we do here is we keep a little bend in the knees, connected to low body, and isolate the movement right here in this band. So move the rib cage to the left, then forward, right, and back. Left, forward, right, back. Left, forward, right, back. And if you like, you can smooth it out, creating a circle of movement in the rib cage and the waistline. But notice the heart stays above the pelvis here. The heart and the head stay above the pelvis. We're not moving the whole head and heart around. We're isolating into that band and keeping the head above the heart. Okay, and we'll switch directions. So now left, back, right, front, left, back, right, front. Maybe you smooth it out, or maybe you stick with the syncopated movement. Either way is great. I'm noticing that my arms actually wanted to hang. I'll often show it with my arms up because you can bring them into it, but you can do it without arms at all, right? And head over heart. Notice if your head is making a big circle, and it moves some, right? Of course. But in some ways, I think it helps to connect with head over heart. And last couple breaths. Notice what you like about this, even if you don't like it. All right, settle that down. And let's warm up the back body. Not only are we warming up the muscles, but we're warming up our attention to seat itself there. So feet about hip distance apart, put a hip hinge into the hips. That means we're pushing them back towards the wall. The heart stays lifted, bend the knees a bit, and then squeeze glutes and hamstrings to rise. Sit back and squeeze. Sit back, squeeze glutes and hamstrings. Connect with breath. Okay, take that same movement into a half sun salutation. Exhale your hands to the center of your chest. Inhale into chair pose. And exhale to forward fold. Bring your hands to your shins. Strengthen your arms, your legs, your spine. And exhale to forward fold. Bend your knees, make your feet active. Use glutes and hamstrings. Inhale, come up to chair. And exhale to stand. Inhale to chair. Exhale to forward fold. Hands to shins. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to forward fold. Bend your knees, use glutes and hamstrings. Inhale to rise. Exhale to stand. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, straighten arms, legs, and spine. Exhale, forward fold, and this time keep your forward fold. Now in forward fold, if it's a low back tweaky day or it's just not feeling good, come up so that your knees are your elbows are resting on your knees and keeping the spine straighter. If forward fold is okay with your body today, keep a little bend in the knees, hang your torso, grab onto your elbows, hang your head, and maybe shift weight a little bit, sway back and forth. Maybe bounce a little bit. Release the arms, and we'll move into Malasana. So for some folks, your feet are going to come wider, your toes are going to come wider than your heels. You're sinking the hips down toward the ground, and you can most definitely put a foam half dome under your heels or a sandbag. We use both of these tools in the Wednesday class a lot. When we lift the heels, often what happens is you're able to actually get more curvature in the low back. I really suggest with squatting that you just do it more often without me during the day, and that you work on different ways. Maybe sometimes your knees are wide, other times they're together. Sometimes you're tractioning the back, other times you're allowing yourself to round the back. Really breathe into your low back. Notice the sensations that your Malasana is creating in your body. All right, and then go ahead and come forward. Bring your knees to the ground and switch back to seated on your sit bones. So you could cross one ankle over the other and come back. Sit in a side bend sit, post up on your hands. Use that posting up in the arms to create space and structure in the shoulder, and then lift the knees, lower to the other side. So for this first variation of the hip mobility drill, the feet are staying in the same place. Bring your breath in and deeply feel into the hips and the side body. Notice where your body experiences this. Notice if you're creating a smoothness in your movement, or if there's a little bit of jerkiness today. And if that is there, don't judge it as bad, but work with it. Can I shift it? What's that about? And then go ahead and walk your hands in and use either fingertips or fists on the ground to help you continue this movement. But now you're using your hands to keep your heart above your pelvis pretty much. And when I do this one, I feel it a lot more in my knees, on the inner knee. That being said, I have a certain structure that has made things challenging for my knees over my whole life. I've got stuff in my knees, right, that I've for years just continue to work with and have compassion for. You might feel it in your knees too, or somewhere else. Okay, let's switch to hands and knees. And then come down to knees and forearms for a forearm plank. Wrap your fingers around your upper arms, interlace your fingers together, and walk your knees back. Lower your hips down. Lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. Pull the pubic bone and low belly up towards the spine. And then shoulder blades. Okay, bring awareness to shoulder blades. Slide them down the ribs and move your heart towards your hands. Amp up your breath. Breathe in a way that stretches your ribs. Of course, you could turn your toes under, lift your legs. Go ahead, lower your knees and then sit back into a dolphin prelude. So elbows stay planted, lift the forearms, reach your sit bones back. And you want to have your knees and your elbows far enough apart that you can pull back with your hips in order to create a pull in the shoulders and triceps, and maybe if you're like me, around the rib cage. And then go ahead, come forward, come up to hands and knees. And two variations, the regression, so a little bit easier, is to stay in hands and knees here. And in hands and knees, don't just let your belly hang down toward the floor, like pull the belly up a little bit, firm it up, and lengthen tailbone down towards your knees. So that's one option. Or you could come forward into half plank and do the same thing. Now, either way, we'll work with just slightly picking up the right hand first and leave the skin of the right hand connected with the ground. We're just shifting weight. Notice what's going on. And you're back, place the weight on the left hand and switch back to right. And then once you get once you feel that and your attention is connected with core, toggle back and forth, find your flow with it. And if you're in plank, keep your hips steady. Resist the urge for your hips to sway to one side or not, or the other. And that's your core too, right? That's deep hip muscles keeping you stable. Okay. And now go ahead and walk your hands back and come up to tall kneeling. And if for anybody this is hard on your knees, put a blanket there, double up your mat, get something going on so that your knees feel more comfortable. Shift your weight over to your right knee. Now we talk about Mula Bandha in yoga. And this is a drawing up in the leg, definitely a drawing up in pelvic floor, lifting up under the heart, but we're centering our weight over the right leg. Begin to pick up left knee, but you can keep the foot on the ground at first, draw up, and then step the left foot forward. Keep that drawing up, keep your weight, knowing that your base is right leg, and then step the right foot back. Now you can do this fast. Go ahead and do it fast a couple times. When you do it fast, there's hardly any bobble. Boom, 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 boom. Now go slow and let the bobble happen. All right, let's switch sides. Shift your attention into the left hip joint, draw up in pelvic floor, stay uplifted through your torso, and we will step the right foot forward and back. And then go ahead and go back and forth fast a couple times. And if it's scary to go fast, trust yourself. You are agile enough and strong enough. When you do it faster, there's less bobble. Okay, and then slow it down. Use the bobble to identify deep hip muscles. Use the bobble to play with balance and your understanding of center of gravity and how your pelvic floor is part of that. Oh, I just bobbled so much that I straightened my right leg when I went out, because that's a way, check that out. When you go around, straighten the leg, woo, and it changes balance, but sometimes in a moment's notice, reflexively, your leg might straighten to create more counterweight. Okay, so next time your foot is forward, curl your back toes under. Now feel for squeezing in the glutes, drawing up in pelvic floor, shift your weight a little bit over front leg, press down through the foot, rise, and step the back foot forward. Curtsy lunge. Bring your left foot behind your right. And now we have 2 points of contact, 2 feet. Get your center of gravity over it. Sink down. As you come up, press through the right foot and the outside glute muscle to come up and swing the other leg around. Foot comes behind, curtsy down, press through left foot, and the right foot just kind of swings around. Feel that? So sink down, press to stand, sink down, press to stand. Keep focusing on those outer hip muscles, outer glute muscles, and playing with what is your experience of center of gravity. Keep your breath going. And of course, with curtsy lunge, you can go deeper. When I go deeper, I notice I kind of want to keep more bend in my knees the whole time, like stay a little bit closer to the ground. It's a little bit more cat-like, a little more stealth. And your center of gravity, when you're closer to the ground, you have a more stable center of gravity closer to the ground. You can also always, you can speed things up, make the movement slower, speed things up, work on agility, many different ways to change the movement. Okay, let's finish that up. Pause, take a few breaths, scanning into the body. Deliberately slow your heart rate with your breath. And then coming down into half squat, where your elbows rest on your knees. Press into your knees, draw your heart forward, and create some back traction. So do what you need to do with your elbows to press them into the ground, lift shoulders and heart up, and get a sense of space in the vertebrae. Breathe into that space. All right, and then bring fingertips to the ground. Bring one knee down, bring the other knee down. Take half plank and curl tailbone under. I'm going to give you a couple options. One is to do some push-ups, and two is to tap one hand to the other shoulder. Now these two do different things, but I'm going to consider tapping one hand to each shoulder a regression. If push-ups sound like too much for you today, you can do the hand tap, or with push-ups, feel for using your belly and your legs. You're slowly lowering your weight to the ground, but then you're also building the muscles that push your weight away. Remember, push-ups are a belly exercise too. They're a whole body exercise, not just your shoulders. And then let's come back into child's pose. Ooh, stretch your fingertips forward while you seat your sit bones towards your heels. Breathe into low back and hips. All right, and then walk the knees forward. Cross one ankle over the other. Move back to seated on your sit bones and come into side bend sit. Begin to switch back and forth without your hands. Now, what's different than the first two stages of the hip mobility drill, and you can always go back to one of those, that's the regression. But what's different here is I'm picking up my feet and moving them from one spot to another a little bit. When you switch, pull in at the belly, pull your thighs to your body and resist the urge to lean back. You are going to lean back, but the more you just let yourself lean back, the less you have to use your core musculature. So that's why we resist that. And then the next time you have your left shin in front, lean forward. We're going to lean forward to come to standing on our shins. So your back ankle is no longer flexed. It's going to be pointed more for this move. Center of gravity between the two knees, and hinge the hips forward. Hinge the pelvis, move the pubic bone towards the ground, and then draw up in pelvic floor. Move your heart forward and press through the front leg to stand. To sit back, hinge at the hips, move the heart forward to create center of gravity. Sit the hips down gently. Right? Do that a few times. When you come up, you can even curl tailbone under. I think it feels like a great stretch right there. And then sit back and forward and back. Switch sides. Okay, so same thing here. You're positioning your torso between your two knees. Tilt the pelvis, pubic bone, and low belly move towards the floor. Squeeze glutes and hamstrings. Press through your right leg. Power up your hips. Center of gravity, heart forward, weight forward to sit the hips down. And move through that a few times. Feel for owning the movement. Make it your own. This takes strength and agility and brain work. So, like, feel your power with it. Okay. And then switch sides, come to stand. Sit back, switch sides, come to stand. Sit back. When you switch sides, pull your legs in and your belly towards your legs. Come to stand. Stay in feeling. Notice what's going on, right? Sometimes it can be really technical to learn the move. Then switch back to feeling the move. And finish up with the round that you're on. Let's take a seat for 1 minute meditation. Sit yourself in a position that's going to allow you to have an alert yet relaxed posture. And take a couple breaths with a big inhale and a let it all go, exhale. Feel for shifting your heart rate, shifting your breath. And then align your heart over your pelvis. Draw your chin back. Head ramp is this move. Chin comes back, lift up at the back of the skull. Relax your shoulders. Rest your hands on your lap. Might take a couple more deep breaths to get your breath to calm down. And then notice the part of you that is your attention. And begin to shift your attention onto your breath. Get specific. Feel for the sensations in your nose and your throat. Feel for breath in your chest and rib cage. And at the back of your tongue, just slightly curl up the edges of your tongue. So there's like a little smile, an inner smile at the back of your tongue. And use your imagination to move that inner smile into your heart. Move your inner smile down to your pelvic floor, perineum, the base of your torso. And bring the inner smile into your palms and feet. And either leaving your hands on your lap or bringing your hands onto your body, maybe one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly, or you can bring palms together at the center of your chest. Any of those options are great. Go ahead and take a deep breath or two of self-respect, of respect back to yourself for the good work that you just did right now. I know y'all do a good work outside of your movement life, but respect this part. Respect the way that you were able to show up, even if you didn't want to. Or respect the fact that you love showing up. Either way. Thank you, sweet body. And thank you to each one of you for being here, whether you're here live or watching this recorded. It matters to me. and have a fabulous day.